President-elect Joe Biden? I don't think so. I just don't think so. It doesn't look right. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. And it's not right. He is not the president-elect. That has not happened. The media are calling him that, but constitutionally, nothing has happened. They can make some assumptions, and they're making some wild ones right now. But, hey, first of all, welcome to Newsmax, where we have not called this election again because we do not know who has won this election. There is pending litigation. There could be recounts, and we're not going to pretend that those issues have been resolved. Now, furthermore, as I present you some information, I will say right up front that I lean to the right. I'm conservative. I'm pro-Trump. And I also like his style. A lot of people out there say, you know, I like the substance, but I'm not crazy about the tweets. I actually think the tweets are brilliant. I'll get to that someday, but they really work on a lot of levels. All right, back to, well, I'll give this to the vice president. He said he was not going to be particularly exciting. He was going to be low-key. And today, during an appearance, he certainly made good on that promise.
Now I'm told that we're going to have, we're going to take 5 questions or thereabout. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. During the campaign.
Wow, after asking for permission to take those questions, he took 5 questions. They were all designed to gauge how angry he was at Donald Trump. Nothing about his vulnerabilities, and we know he has some vulnerabilities for sure, right? And by the way, president-elect this, president-elect that. They went and they got all the signage. It means nothing. You could print this stuff yourself, but they're trying to create the trappings of that this is the guy. He's not. Again, it's an illusion. All right, we're going to go through some of the states briefly. This stuff is all to be decided. It is far more in play than a lot of folks in the media want you to believe. Let's start with Pennsylvania. All right, now right now, actually, the Trump team, they're winning on the federal side. They've got a federal lawsuit pending. It is basically being considered by the Supreme Court. The whole question of ballots received after Election Day, they're taking a look at that. So far, the Trump side is winning. Also, in state court, serious questions about who is allowed to watch the counting in Philadelphia. That was a problem. In Wisconsin, the vote is so close, we could see a recount. That could very well happen. Georgia, they want a hand count. We've seen some videos, some things, but, you know, a lot of folks are just dismissing it. Journalists should be investigating this themselves. They want all of the evidence presented to them as if they're the officials, and if it passes muster with them, then you have a case or you don't. That's not the avenue that's traditionally pursued. Let's take a look at Arizona. Right now, Joe Biden is up 12,000 votes, but there are some 66 to possibly 100,000 votes. And if they still come in at the rate they've been coming in, roughly 59% for Donald Trump, there is a chance that this state could flip. Now, Michigan has all kinds of issues, and I think they were displayed, some hints of them, by this one city clerk.
My name is Tina Barton. As a clerk, my job is to run the elections fairly and securely. All ballots are and have been accounted for. There were no missing ballots. The accusation that 2,000 ballots were found is categorically false. As a Republican, I am disturbed that this is intentionally being mischaracterized to undermine the election process. This was an isolated mistake that was quickly rectified once realized.
Isolated mistake? There was some mistake, and then she goes into how, you know, good her people are and well-intentioned, but there was an isolated mistake. Look, here's the issue, and it's a pretty small community, but too often the media, they just take their word for it, and they're not curious about this case at all, these cases. In the old days, they pursued every lead, right? No, now they just sit around on their laptops or sit in front of cameras and make grand statements, and we're all just supposed to accept it.
CNN projects Joseph R. Biden Jr. is elected the 46th president of the United States.
we can say that Joe Biden is on track to be the next president of the United States of America, the 46th president of the United States.
You see that level of production? I mean, bells, whooshes, gongs, fancy music, all special stuff that they paid a lot of money for. They don't want to take that stuff back. They will look ridiculous if they do. Believe me, that's driving a lot of this agenda, the incuriosity with the media. They just don't want to pursue these stories. All right, I got one more of these to show you, by the way, calling the election, and this one could give you bad dreams, but there's a lot of energy here at least. Take a look.
And this is a CBS News special report. I'm Norah O'Donnell at CBS News, and we are coming on the air with breaking news at this hour. CBS News projects that Joe Biden has been elected the 46th president of the United States. The kid from Scranton becomes the next leader of the free world.
That kid from Scranton, right out of the campaign brochure. Scranton. They keep saying it like it's the South Bronx or something like that. Look, it's obviously, to me, very pretentious, very pompous, condescending. Nora, by the way, said the CBS 18 times before she gave you the news about the president. And what's up with all the music? Isn't the news big enough? Doesn't it kind of speak for itself? But since they went with all that fanfare, they're so invested in this, they can't reverse themselves. They're going to stick with this. And there's actually a personal motivation. You remember how wrong they were in 2016 across the board. Well, they were all humiliated. They were embarrassed, and not just internally. I mean, you can go to YouTube and look up all these funny videos of these geniuses getting it so wrong. Here's a portion of one of my favorites.
Our new NBC News SurveyMonkey poll is out today. It puts Hillary Clinton up by 10 points over Donald Trump. And this is not the first poll since the conventions to give Clinton a double-digit lead. This is actually the fourth. 4 polls that have Clinton up by more than 10 points, or at least 10 points. Staying the kind of lead she has leaped out into this race, you could see other states that suddenly get crazy. States you wouldn't have even imagined, like a South Carolina, even a Texas. They could at least become competitive.
Okay, the music, by the way, was not NBC's choice. It was put in there by some YouTuber. It goes on and on and on. I find that stuff very funny. And that guy's still in business, calling races, saying there's no basis for a recount, all that stuff. These guys don't get to make that call. They'd like to, and in fact, they are, but it is an illusion. And let's talk about the mainstream media for a moment. There they are. Now, for most Americans who are not conservative or not particularly political, they're inundated by this stuff all the time. It's kind of like in the air, right? And they're saying that this election is over. Again, if you're just a regular person living your life, you're going to hear from these people, okay? In my house, actually, the top 3 networks there, that's Channel 7, NBC is Channel 4, and CBS is Channel 2. I think I'm on channel 222. That's okay, but I mean, you've got to make an effort to find us, and we appreciate that you're making that effort. A lot of people do. A lot of people listen to talk radio. They forget about talk radio. Tens of millions consume it, and we got to thank Rush once again. We are wishing Rush best wishes, by the way, treatment. And Hannity and Mark Levin, these guys are very, very important. Mainstream media don't pay them nearly the respect they deserve. They're huge forces in American politics, but they get overlooked. They're not in the air. That's my point. Like, if you walk around, generally speaking, if you're not conservative, you're not going to seek these guys out. Everybody else, I think they're overly influenced by the other side. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave Donald Trump? Donald Trump obviously does not have the support of the mainstream media, but he's got the support of people. You could watch politicians for years. You'll not see many moments like that. And Donald Trump had them all the time. I mean, you may get somebody say, "We love you, Hillary," but that's it. It's not a whole crowd chanting like that. I said the 3 keys to understanding Donald Trump, and been hearing this for years, and it's true. Number 1, not a politician. And unlike most politicians who go to Washington, he did not become a politician. He's a billionaire, and he has the characteristics of a billionaire, and he's also from Queens. He's essentially a working class guy. Now, those things are great, and it's a big chunk of why we love him right there. But it's also cost him. You know, he's not a politician. And right now, I played that clip of the people because that's essentially all he's got. He's got the people, he's got some lawyers, a few people in Congress sticking up for him, but let's face it, not that many. When you go around the dial, you don't see big-time surrogates very often supporting the president. He's kind of, in a strange way, on his own right now. He's counting on us to do whatever we can do, to go to that rally, to donate money to the cause, whatever it takes. And also, when a pollster calls you, I mentioned this yesterday, don't be afraid to say you're pro-Trump. Be honest, because some of those polls, yeah, people weren't telling the truth. And could have suppressed the vote, But here's another key for me. This is one of my favorite Donald Trump moments, and it shows you that, yes, people love him, but he also loves people. This was a prime time moment during the Republican National Convention. No other politician in the world would have done something like this.
How about you?
I'm a custodian at the post office as well.
What do you do exactly?
Clean up everybody's mess and everybody's germs and all that.
Can I tell you, that world, that profession will never be out of business. You know that, right?
Sure.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Prime time. He's meeting with a janitor, custodial worker, a nurse. A guy in the middle there is a truck driver, cop. Prime time. And you can tell he's genuinely interested in these people. These folks would not have gotten within 90 miles of a primetime appearance at a Barack Obama convention. But there they are with the President of the United States. I think in something. So, in the meantime, this is going to be a long haul, potentially. A long haul. The other side, they've got the mainstream media, but I think they can only pick up Joe so much. I saw this online today, got me thinking. Take that full if you can. The mainstream media propping up Joe makes a lot of sense, especially on a day like today. I don't know if you can tell, but that's a take on a famous moment in Marine Corps history, which is very appropriate. That's Iwo Jima, Mount Suribachi, I think, when they raised the flag. Let's hit the music and remind everybody that today is November 10th, and the United States Marine Corps was founded on November 10th, 1775. Greatest decision, one of them that I ever made, was joining the Marine Corps myself. Back when I was a college freshman, I spent 9 years on active duty, about 12 or so in the reserves. I highly recommend it, by the way, military service. I just say don't let anyone talk you into it, but don't let anyone talk you out of it either. Very, very grateful to the country for that opportunity.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.